Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Damo Top 25. So we actually had a pretty good week of college football. I mean, a bunch of upsets, pretty much. I had the worst day ever yesterday because I'm an OU fan, and if you watch the OU Missouri game, they basically just destroyed any hopes I had of this team. At least going bowling, I don't know. We're not going to talk about OU. They're not in the playoff discussion. But I am big sad right now. Also, fire. I don't even know who to fire. I don't even know who to fire. We're just terrible. But anyways, let's get on with it. Oregon won yesterday. They took down Maryland 39-18. So Maryland or Oregon is going to stay number one. Miami. It all finally caught up with Miami. They lost to Georgia Tech 23-28 yesterday. Apparently, people are mad at Cam Ward. I don't know if that's true, but if they are, that's probably a pretty dumb take by Miami fans. BYU beat Utah 22-21, about to lose, 4th and 10 on their own 9, and BYU manages to come back and pull it off for the win. BYU has not looked spectacular these last few weeks, but they're still undefeated. They're going to keep rising up the rankings. Indiana. Indiana beat Michigan 20-15. Oh, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop moving them for a second. We're just pulling the teams down for right now. But I mean, spoiler alert. Boom. It's gonna be like that. Georgia lost to Ole Miss 10-28. So whoever was complaining that I didn't have the Bulldogs ranked high enough, well, I guess I really didn't have Ole Miss ranked high enough. So they're gonna slide down there, and we might pick them back up later. Next up, we got Ohio State. Ohio State dominated somebody 45-0 against Pitt. 45-0. Boise State beat Nevada 28-21. Texas beat Florida 49-17. Tennessee beat Mississippi State 33-14. Notre Dame beat Florida State. Wait. Tennessee beat Mississippi State. I don't know if I said that right. Tennessee beat Mississippi State 33-14. Notre Dame beat Florida State 52-3. So Florida State's terrible season just continues to get worse and worse. And we're just gonna leave those two. SMU was on bye, and now they are in the driver's seat for the ACC, the only team in the ACC with no losses. Also, the SEC races. If Tennessee and Texas went out, they're in. I think if A&M beats Texas, they're in. If Tennessee loses to Georgia, we're gonna have a wild. I think no matter what, we'll have Texas or Texas A&M. But Tennessee needs to beat Georgia. If Tennessee loses to Georgia, then I have no idea who's going to be number 2 in the SEC. Because you're going to have a bunch of 2-loss teams. You're going to have Georgia. You're going to have LSU. Wait, no, LSU's got 3 losses. But one of them's not a conference loss. Alabama will have 2 losses. One of Texas or Texas A&M will have 2 conference losses. So that's just going to be a whole cluster. Well, we'll find out a little bit more in the next week or so. But either way, SMU had a bye, still 8-1. Penn State beat Washington 35-6. Washington State beat Utah State 49-28. Army beat North Texas 14-3. Still grinding it out. Pitt lost yesterday to Virginia 19-24. So we'll just go ahead and move Pitt down here. And I think what might have happened for Pitt, seems to me that there's been a couple teams this season that have had a really good start to their season, then they lose a game, and then they lose another game immediately after before they kind of get it back. So maybe that's what's happening to Pitt. Because there have been more than a few teams where it's they lose one week and then they lose the week right after. And I feel like, you've you push so long through the season and you've used all your energy, and then as you lose the first game, you kind of your head gets all messed up, and then they can't really focus on the next game. Or they are like, it's not like they're not coming to play, but I don't know. I've just seen it happen a bunch this year with a bunch of, all right, we take our first loss and then boom, another loss right after that. Um, Iowa State. Speaking of, Iowa State did the exact same thing as Pitt. They lost to Kansas, 36-45. It looks like Kansas may be finally getting it together. So good for Kansas. Good for the Jayhawks. Bad for Iowa State though. Iowa State went from number one, or at least tied with BYU for number one in the Big 12, and now they're going to be lucky to get in. Colorado is now in the driver's seat in the Big 12. So BYU's got no losses conference-wise, and Colorado only has one conference loss. So they are the two highest ranked in the Big 12. Now, Kansas State did still beat Colorado, but Kansas State has two conference losses where Colorado's two losses. One's against Nebraska, so it doesn't get held against them in the Big 12. So it's looking like we might have a Colorado versus BYU Big 12 championship, just like everybody predicted at the beginning of the season. Alabama beat LSU 42-13. Texas A&M was on bye. LSU got bodied by Alabama. Ole Miss beat Georgia 28-10. Missouri beat my Oklahoma Sooners, and not only did they beat them, they did it in the cruelest way possible. They let us have hope. We got that scoop and score with like 2 minutes left to go ahead, and I legitimately, everyone I was watching the game with, we were all getting like super hype. Thought we had it in the bag, and then you fucking blew it, you goddamn losers! Oh my god! I don't even want to talk about Missouri. Good game, Missouri. Way to beat Oklahoma, but also fuck our team. God, oh my god, I cannot deal with it right now. Clemson beat Virginia Tech 24-14. Kansas State was on bye. Vanderbilt lost to South Carolina 7-28. And Colorado beat Texas Tech 41-27. So had more than a few losers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 ranked teams that lost. 6 ranked teams that lost. Wait, am I missing one? There's 3. There's 2. Oh, Vandy. Vandy lost to South Carolina. Okay, there we go. All right, now let's go check the new rankings, see what we got over here. So, Oregon, number 1, BYU, number 2, Indiana, number 3, and we are going to move Ohio State up to number 4. So, Big Ten's got 3 teams in the top 4. Boise State is going to move up to number 5, and now my top 5 is, guys, is the Pacific Northwest. Are they becoming a powerhouse? I mean, we've got Oregon, BYU, and Boise State up here. So maybe the SEC actually isn't where it means more. Maybe the Pacific Northwest is actually where it means more. And then if you look at the other top 5 teams, they're also in the north half of the country. So, maybe there's something going on here. Or maybe they're just not beating up on each other and not playing an SEC schedule that just means more. But either way. Texas is going to move up to number 6. Tennessee moving up to number 7 for me. Notre Dame is going to be number 8. Georgia and Miami took a pretty big slide. We are going to go SMU at number 9. Then we are going to go Penn State at number 10. Miami will be here at 11. 11 will be Miami. Then number 12. These guys are actually going to jump quite a ways up. Number 12, we're going to do Ole Miss. Wait, number 12, we're going to do Ole Miss right there. Washington State is going to stay at 13. Same for Army. The only way for Army to get into the playoffs is if they beat Notre Dame later on in the season. The only way for Washington State to get into the playoffs is for the committee to get off their high horse and let an 11-1 team in. But they're not going to do that. So these two are going to sit right here. Next up, we've got Alabama. I've got Alabama above Georgia at 15. I've got Georgia right here at 16. Got Texas A&M at 17. So Texas A&M didn't move. Mizzou is going to move up to 18. Clemson is going to move up to 19, and Kansas State will be 20. Then we've got Colorado right here. Pitt is going to stay in the top 25. I don't know if they should stay in the top 25, but they're going to stay in the top 25. Mainly because there's not a bunch of really good teams after them. I mean, there's some good schools, but to be honest, Pitt's still got a pretty good record. They've still been a really good team this season, but they have had a couple of bad losses in a row. Same for Iowa State. They're going to sit right here at 23. And LSU and Vandy are falling out of the top 25. So we'll go ahead and put them right here. And we are going to add, actually, hold up. Okay, yep, we are going to add ULL. The Ragin' Cajuns, going to make it to number 24. And then UNLV, where is UNLV? UNLV is back in the Damo top 25. Which helps Boise out because it gives them another top 25 win to go with their Washington State win. And let me go ahead and fill out the rest of this. I got Louisville right here at 26. I know they're ahead of Clemson in the college football playoff rankings, but to be honest, Clemson's still most likely... Clemson's only got one conference loss, so as long as they went out, I think it's going to come down to them or Miami, and they don't play each other, so as long as SMU wins out, they're in, and then it'll be one of Miami or Clemson. We are going to leave LSU right here at 27. South Carolina is actually going to move up to 28. I'm going to have Arizona State. Where's Arizona State? Arizona State's going to be right behind South Carolina. Illinois. Illinois is going to be right here behind Arizona State. We've got Duke right here at 31. Then we've got Navy. Where's Navy? The Navy midshipmen. Oh, right there. Be right there behind Duke. Memphis. Where is Memphis? There we go. I'm going to put them right behind Navy. Vanderbilt is going to be right here at 34. Then we're going to add Arkansas right here. Nebraska. Nebraska's staying relevant, even if they can't, even if they aren't really. I'm sure Nebraska fans thought this season was going to go a little bit better, but honestly, I still think Nebraska's had a really good season. Boston College going to be up after that, and you know I've had Boston College has been hanging around the 30s and 40s for me pretty much the whole season. I really like Boston College this year. Where is BC? Where are ACC teams at? That's the Big 10. That's the Big 12. Boston College right here. Okay, so Boston College is going to go right after Nebraska. Then we will put the Big Orange, Syracuse, right after Boston College. Tulane. I've officially moved Tulane past the University of Oklahoma. Because I think if they played right now, Tulane would probably win. OU is fucking garbage. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech will be right here after Tulane. Oh, wait. Tulane should be right here. Alrighty. So these are the teams on my outside looking in. After the top 40, you do not need to worry about them. I mean, you might need to worry about them. Like, your team might get upset by them. But they are not going to be involved in the college football playoff rankings. These teams probably will not. I mean, I think we've got like a pretty solid, um, like 10 to 1 to 12 right here. Now, I don't know if all of these teams, specifically like Ole Miss, are going to go to the playoffs, but I think our playoff contenders are really like here, Colorado, and up. But I can't necessarily rule all of these teams out. You could rule Nebraska out. I mean, they do have they're 5-4. Arkansas is 5-4. Boston College is 5-4. So none of those teams are going to go to the playoffs. But I just can't bring myself to take them completely out of the rankings. I still think they're like top 40 teams. Okay, and as far as games we've got this week, Oregon is taking on Wisconsin. Should be a win for Oregon. BYU's playing Kansas. That could be an upset. Upset alert for BYU. I hope BYU pulls it off, but I wouldn't be super upset if Kansas beat them. But they really need, the Big 12 needs them to win. They need them to keep winning because they're not as high up in the college football playoff rankings as they are on mine. Indiana's on bye, 10-0. Finally getting that bye. Oregon could be the first team to reach 11-0 this season. So, and then they will only have one last game, and they will be going to the conference championship. Either way, Oregon's a lock for the playoffs. I don't see a way Oregon doesn't make the playoffs. Penn State, I think, is also a lock for the playoffs, which would also make Ohio State a lock for the playoffs. Whether Indiana gets in or not is probably dependent on whether they beat Ohio State or not. And I could totally see a situation where Penn State gets in and Indiana gets left out. So Indiana really needs to win. But Ohio State is taking on Northwestern. Should be an easy dub for Ohio State. Boise State is taking on San Jose State. Texas is playing Arkansas. That should be a fun game. And Tennessee, biggest game of the week. Tennessee is up against Georgia. If Tennessee wins this game, they will have the inside track to the SEC championship. And it will be one of Tennessee versus Texas or Texas A&M. So this is a big week for Tennessee. I got to imagine Georgia is going to come out ready to play them. So we'll see if Tennessee can pull it off. Right now, I think I would probably pick Georgia. But I do think Tennessee, I think it's going to be a close game no matter what. But, Tennessee is, they've let us down before. But, Georgia is not looking unbeatable this season. Alabama beat them, Ole Miss beat them, so Tennessee's got their shot. Number 8, Notre Dame is taking on Virginia. Virginia actually beat somebody last week. Who lost to Virginia? Was it Pitt? Yep, 19-24. So keep an eye out for that game. Notre Dame could lose to Virginia. Virginia's been pretty solid this year. Although I think Notre Dame will win. SMU plays Boston College. Okay, that'll actually be a really fun game. And like I said, I got Boston College right here. But SMU should win that game. They've looked pretty good all season. Number 10, Penn State is taking on Purdue. So I expect Penn State to do about like Ohio State did and just destroy Purdue. Number 11, Miami is on bye. They need that. Ole Miss is also on bye. Good for both of those teams. So they will remain in my top 12 at least. Washington State is taking on New Mexico. Should be another win for Washington State. Army is taking on nobody because they're on bye. Alabama is playing a thing called Mercer. So let's hope Alabama can pull off the upset against the mighty Mercer Bears. I think it's the Mercer Bears. To be honest, I couldn't tell you what Mercer's mascot is. Okay, number 16, Georgia is taking on Tennessee. So Georgia has got to win this. If Georgia wants to stay in any playoff conversations, they've got to win. 3-loss Georgia is not making it in. As much as the committee would want to find a spot to put them in. Texas A&M will be taking on New Mexico State. Missouri will be taking on South Carolina. And honestly, I'd probably give the edge to South Carolina. I think South Carolina will probably beat Missouri. And here's my reasoning. I watched South Carolina play OU, and I watched Missouri play OU, and South Carolina actually did good against us. And Missouri tried to throw the game away, but OU successfully failed the task successfully way better against Missouri. Clemson is taking on Pitt. So Pitt is still in the top 25 for me, but I do think Clemson is probably going to win that one. Kansas State taking on Arizona State. Okay, so that should be a solid game. And Arizona State's losses are both in conference too, so they don't have much of a fighting chance. They need Colorado or BYU to lose. Really, and BYU losing doesn't really help. So everybody in the Big 12 really needs Colorado to lose. But Colorado's taking on Utah, and Utah's pretty good, but I think Colorado's probably going to edge it out against them. Pitt will be taking on Clemson. Iowa State is up against Cincinnati. Iowa State could lose that game as well. Not an easy dub for them. And they're kind of like falling apart at the seams after they hit 7-0. ULL, the Raging Cajuns, are going to be taking on South Alabama. Should be a win for ULL. And UNLV is taking on San Diego State. And I'm pretty sure UNLV's only losses. Let me look this up. UNLV football. I'm pretty sure their only losses are to Washington State and Boise. No, they lost to Syracuse and Boise. So that Syracuse loss isn't too spectacular. But it doesn't matter now at this point in the season. You're just trying to make it through. Just trying to get any win you can. Louisville is taking on Stanford. LSU is taking on Florida. South Carolina against Mizzou. Arizona State versus Kansas State. Illinois versus Michigan State. Duke's on bye. Navy is playing Tulane. Navy really needs to beat Tulane. Tulane has no conference losses. So right now it's looking like it's going to be Tulane versus Army. And I don't even know if Navy wins. I think they're 2 games behind. So I don't know if they win. No, because Navy lost to Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's not in their conference. So, okay, I think if Navy wins, they will go up ahead of Tulane. Memphis is taking on UAB. Vanderbilt's on bye. Arkansas is against Texas. Nebraska is against USC. That should be a fun game. I'm pulling for Nebraska there. Boston College versus SMU. Syracuse versus Cal. Tulane versus Navy. And Georgia Tech is on bye. So that's my top 25. Now let's go check out the AP polls top 25. Hold up. Also, let me get a screenshot. Oh, okay. Let me get another screenshot. Okay. And now let's go check out the AP top 25. Honestly, I'm curious to see who they've added in. All right, we've got Oregon at 1, Ohio State at 2, Texas at 3. I can get down with all that. Penn State at 4. That's kind of wild. Indiana at 5, Tennessee at 6, BYU at 7, Notre Dame at 8, Alabama at 9. Did Ole Miss lose to Alabama? Ole Miss football schedule. Yeah, they lost to LSU. Did they even play Alabama? I guess not. Furman, Wake Forest, Georgia Southern. They lost to Kentucky. Oh yeah, terrible loss to Kentucky. But we've got Alabama number 9, Ole Miss number 10, Georgia at 11. Okay, nice. See, prepping them to not fall out of the playoffs. Miami at 12, Boise State at 13. How did Boise State move down a spot? Because we had to keep Georgia in the top 12. Boise State's only loss is to the consensus number 1 team in the country. I hope everybody realizes that. And they honestly, if you watch that game, I don't know if anybody remembers the Boise State-Oregon game. Like, Boise State was looking like the better team throughout that whole game. Then shenanigans got Oregon the win. I'm not trying to say that to discount Oregon. What I'm trying to say is, like, Boise State's clearly a good team. They took the number 1 team in the country to down to the wire. Okay, we've got SMU. How is SMU behind Miami? SMU's only loss is to a top 7 team, according to the AP poll. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make any sense at all. Then we've got A&M at number 15, Army at 16, Clemson at 17, Colorado 18, Washington State 19, Kansas State 20, LSU falls 7 spots down to 21. Louisville moved up, South Carolina moved up, Missouri moved up, and Tulane is also ranked. Bro, Missouri in some of these rankings makes no sense to me. Okay, this isn't too bad. They got Tulane in the top 25. Tulane's kind of still down there for me. I've been discounting Tulane all season because they lost to OU, and I've watched OU play, and we're fucking dog shit. So if they lost to us, they cannot be good. Iowa State receiving votes, Arizona State receiving votes, Pitt receiving votes, ULL and UNLV also receiving votes. Alrighty, I don't think this poll is too bad. This part right here is fucking disgusting because, you know the difference between the Big Ten and the SEC? The Big Ten is earning their multiple playoff spots this year. Oregon should go to the playoffs. Ohio State should go to the playoffs. Penn State should go to the playoffs. Indiana should go to the playoffs. Same for Texas and Tennessee if they went out. Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia should be waiting in line like everybody else behind all the one-loss teams. But that's not how it works. They have SEC quality losses, like getting blown out by Alabama for the whole first 3 quarters. But then they had an amazing comeback. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and complain about the AP poll a long time. It's not the worst I've ever seen. We do have a couple of different ones. I don't have LSU in my top 25 anymore. I don't have Louisville in my top 25 anymore. South Carolina also not in the top 25. They are all like on the outside looking. I mean, they are literally right there. So it's not like they're super far off for me. Although I do think really missing Raging Cajuns and UNLV. It's just a difference in. I prefer you have good losses and a good record. They prefer you have an SEC logo on your chest. So. Alrighty, that's going to do it for the top 25 this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys all for watching. We're coming up on the end of these. We've only got a few weeks left of college football before we're doing the playoffs. And I will probably not... I mean, once we're done with the regular season, or at least the conference championships, I'm probably going to stop doing these videos, and I'm not sure what I will do for the playoffs. But we'll do some videos for the playoffs. We'll figure something out. But I hope you guys have enjoyed all the videos this season. And for all the people that haven't enjoyed them, thank you guys at least for watching them and checking them out. I still appreciate it, even if you guys think I'm an idiot. I understand, college football, your opinions get heated. It's easy to shit on somebody else for their opinions. But I really appreciate you guys all sharing what you guys think about the college football season with me. And I appreciate you guys all watching. Thank you guys so much, and we will catch you next Sunday.